All right. So angle 1 is greater than angle 3 because, and all you have to do is say remote interior angle, either property or inequality. I don't care. Okay. Then it'll say, and these will be given to you over here. So you don't have to come up with these. So angle 3 is congruent to angle 4 because of what? Well, what kind of angles are they, 3 and 4? Vertical angles, all right? So therefore, angle 1 would be greater than angle 4 because of, and whenever you plug in something for something else, just write the word substitution. Angle 4 is congruent to angle 5 because it is isosceles triangle property. All right. And therefore, you would say angle 1 is greater than angle 5 because of substitution. Okay. Good. All right. You do have one like this where they give you the angles. You have to list the sides, either from greatest to least to greatest. And the reverse one with the sides, and you have to list the angles from least to greatest or greatest to least. All right. You have one like this where they give you 2 side lengths and you got to figure out what the third side lengths can be. You do have one like that. All right. We have to put them in order from least to greatest. Nothing about it comparing equilateral and isosceles triangles. All right. You do have one like this, but it's built into another problem. We'll talk about that in a second. Okay. You do have one involving equation of a line of a mid-segment, but you only have to do one. You don't have to do both. Okay, so they give you the specifics, the one they do. This is the one that involves the algebra as well. So you have this plus some algebra. All right. Then you have 2 like this using hinge theorem 5.7 and nothing like that. There's 8 problems also. No proofs. No quadratics, no systems. The only major algebra thing is equation of a line. For
those, how do you know when it's like this term?
When it's what?
When like there's 3 terms like for your answer.
I got you. When it's sides, okay, and when it's sides, you're talking about the inequality itself. Angles, there's always 3. All right, angles, there's always 3 because if it's greater than, like it's bigger, it's got to be less than 180. If it's less than, then it's got to be greater. It's got to be greater than 0. With the sides, okay, the idea is you're combining 5, 6, and 5, 7. So if you look at this one, all right, that's my shared side, and then that's my other pairs of congruent sides. So you would have 65 is less than 67. All right. Opposite to 65 is 14. Opposite to 67 is x. All right. But remember 5, 6. All right. And I'll answer it and I'll get specific with your question. It's also got to be less than the sum of the other 2 sides. So the other 2 sides are 31. So to answer your question, the only time it's 1 is when they don't give you the other side line. You got me? So if they didn't tell you this was 15 and they just gave you the 16, then it would only be 1. So if they give you 2 sides, then you got to add the third. So when in doubt, go with third. Okay? No worries. Everybody else good? Okay, so that'll be tomorrow. Like I said, log on. All right. If you have any issues, go onto the board. I'm gladly address. I think it's 4K from yesterday. That's from yesterday. Got an open desk somewhere. If you need anything that was given out yesterday, so practice problems we did in class, notes and the homework that's due tomorrow at midnight. especially since you're going to need those notes for the back page. If you already downloaded the notes, you don't need it, but if you didn't download the notes, you're going to need the notes because that's where your notes are today, on the back of that. So I gotta do right triangles and I gotta do distance. All right. So like I said, yesterday's the front of the notes. It's not a lot. We're flipping on the back and we're dealing with distance formula. So we're doing the distance formula part. The formula itself, the distance between 2 points ax1, y1 and bx2, y2 is capital D equals the square root of x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. All right. Square root of x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. All right. So as you know, from using midpoint earlier in the year, using slope last year, the 2's and 1's don't mean anything numerical. They just mean different points. So basically, if we were to take order of operations, we obviously do parentheses first. Now, if I mess up the order, so let's say I subtract one way on the first one, but the other way on the other, am I going to be okay? Yeah. Because if you do it the wrong way, you just get the opposite, which is a negative. Well, if I square a negative, what does it turn into? Positive. So all you're doing is finding the difference between the points, squaring that, adding the squares, and finding the square root, as documented here. Plug in the coordinates for the points, carry out the operations, and simplify the radical if necessary. Now, all right, I'm going to tell you in all honesty, I've never used a distance formula in my life. I will present it to you, I will show you how it is, but to me, when you're subtracting and then adding, squaring and then square roots, it's very easy to make a small mathematical mistake. All right? So personally, I don't use this. If you like formulas, then feel free. There's nothing wrong with that. Kudos to you. You're a better person than this. All right? But to me, it's too easy to make a small mathematical mistake. So what I do instead is I draw the corresponding right triangle out and then use Pythagorean theorem to do the exact same process. Do the exact same process. So that's what distance formula is. It's Pythagorean theorem. All right? Okay? Okay. So this is what I mean. The coordinates there are 1, 5. Okay, the coordinates there are 1, 5. The coordinate here is 4, negative 1. Okay? So if you're going to do the distance formula, you start with this long square root. Okay? You start with that long square root. And you do 1 minus 4 squared. 1 minus 4 squared. All right? Plus 5 minus negative 1 squared. All right, so that's the math behind it. 1 minus 4 is negative 3. Negative 3 squared is 9. So 9 squared. 5 minus negative 1 is 5 plus 1, which is 6. So 9 squared plus 6 squared. Also underneath the square root. 9 squared is 81. 6 squared is 36. 81 plus 36 is 117. 9 goes into 117 13 times. Perfect square, we do the square root. The square root of 9 is 3. That's 3 root 13. And you're done. Okay? And again, if that's your method, go right ahead. This is all I would do with this problem. I extend that, and I extend that down to form a right triangle. All right? I then count 1, 2, 3, 4, so that has a side length of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so that has a side length of 6. So now it's just a Pythagorean theorem problem. 4 squared plus 6 squared equals c squared. The distance is always going to be the hypotenuse. 4 squared is 16. 6 squared is 36. 16 plus 36 is 52. All right, now, see how 2 goes into both of those? That means at the very least, I'm going to have 2 on the outside when I'm all done, no matter what. All right, so 2 squared is 4, so I'll automatically divide my number, whatever it is, by 4, and I get 13. So I'm doing the square root of 4 times 13. Square root of 4, which comes outside, is 2, so that's 2 root 13. Everybody good? When they don't give you the graph, okay, when they don't give you the graph, it's not a big deal. All right, all you're doing is subtracting. All right, so for example, 7 minus 2 is 5. So that's 5 squared. Because addition is commutative, that's, even though that's the y's, it can come first. It's not going to matter. And then from negative 4 to negative 1 is 3. So that's 3 squared. All right. I bring this problem up because it balances out triples. Even though 3 and 5 are parts of a triple, they're not in the correct location, because for you to use the 3, 4, 5 triple, 5 would have to be the hypotenuse. So now I got to use regular Pythagorean theorem. 3 squared is 9. 5 squared is 25. 9 plus 25 is 34. So my distance is the square root of 34. Okay? Or like we said, and it doesn't have to be a perfect sketch, you just draw it out real quick. If we're looking at number 7, negative 8, negative 1 is going to be down there. 4, 7 is going to be up here. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect. You just want it in the right location. to help you realize what you're doing. From -8 over to 4, realizing you're passing through 0 is 12, because that's 8 and that's 4. From -1 to 7 is 8, so realize you're passing through 0. But now I have a right triangle with side lengths of 8 and 12. Good? 12 squared would be 144. 8 squared would be 64. Underneath the square root symbol. 144 plus 64 is 208. All right. Now, if you have a graphing calculator or a device like that, and you want to quickly see what perfect squares go into it, here's a little hint for you. All right. There's a graphing calculator. I hit Stat, which is this button right here in the middle. All right. And I hit 1 for edit because I'm changing things. I then go to L1 and I put in all my perfect squares up through 12. I mean, you can go more if you want. So in other words, 1, 4, 9, 16, 25, 36, 49, 64, 81, 100, 121, 144. Okay, you can put in more if you'd like, and you just leave it there for the next week. So now you go to the very top of L2. Now please realize that is not the top of L2. That is the top of L2 when it's highlighted. Clear it out, all right? And all I do is take the number I'm trying to simplify, in this case, 208, and I want to divide by everything in that list. So I do 208 divided by, whenever you want to enter a list, you just hit second first and then the number of the list. So since this is L1, I would do second 1. All right, and anything that comes out to an integer goes into it. All right, so 4 goes into it, so I can pull out the 4, but so does 16. Okay? So if you have a graphing calculator or a component like that, it can quickly do that. Now, the other way of looking at it, all right, and you don't need a graphing calculator for this, is this. Look at your 2 side lengths, 8 and 12. What number goes into both of those? 4. What's 4 squared? 16. That number is guaranteed to go into your answer. So you just do 208 divided by whatever that is, in this case, 16. Square root of 16 is 4, so I have 4 root 13. And then the last thing of the day, please never look a gift horse in the mouth. I'm looking at number 6. 8, 8, and -5, 8. Notice, ladies and gentlemen, the y coordinates are exactly the same. If I graphed it out, 8, 8 is here, -5, 8 is there. I have a horizontal line. I do not need to do the distance formula. I just have to find the difference in the other coordinates. So from 8 to -5 is 13. So my answer is 13. Same thing works if you have a vertical line. So if you have a horizontal or vertical line, in other words, one of the coordinates is exactly the same, boom, you're done. You can just find the difference between that coordinate and you're good to go. All right? Everybody good? Okay. So on the back of that, all right, on the back of that is the homework. One through 16, that's due Friday night at midnight. All right, that's due Friday night at midnight. You have choices. Choice number 1 is to just draw a right triangle. Draw a right triangle. Number 2, label the sides. All right, I'll show you what I mean by a second. And then number 3, give me the simplified radical. Or if you're using the distance formula, which I'm fine with, show what you plugged in for these values. So we know where you went wrong if you go wrong. So you show what you plugged in for those values. All right, and I'll show you what I mean with number 6. All right, if you're going to go the route of Pythagorean theorem, 18 negative 1 is all the way out here. Negative 8, negative 19 is going to be down here. Again, it doesn't need to be drawn to scale if you just want to fit it on the paper. There's your triangle. That becomes it. From 18 to negative 8 has a value of 26. From negative 1 to negative 8, 19 has a value of 18. And then you can just label your answer or show your work. It's completely up to you. If you're going to go distance formula, it would look like this. 18 minus negative 8. All right. Squared plus negative 1 minus negative 19 squared. If you are going to go that route, okay, I would suggest instead of using parentheses here, you may want to think about using brackets so you distinguish it for yourself. All right, otherwise you might get confused. But it's your call. I don't know how you do things. If you do it well that way, then go right ahead, and we'll check how we do Monday, or you'll be at home Monday morning. All right, everybody good? Okay, so tomorrow you take the quiz. Don't worry about anything else. I'm just going to do the same lesson tomorrow with them that we're doing here. All right. Friday, we will go over any questions you have from 8.1, and we will start 8.2, which is special right triangle. And I will be after virtually and virtual math lab if you're looking for any help.